The Case Files of John Patrick ONet, Employment Investigator, by Dr. Vade Meekum. The Case of the Digital Pursuit. Inspector ONet climbed the stairs of the old building. It had been a hospital at one time. Now part of it had been repurposed to serve as a free education center, focusing on job skill training and basic computer instruction. As part of this renovation, 2 computer labs had been set up on the second floor, one for job search and the other for computer training. With broadband connection, state-of-the-art business computers, commercial-grade software, computer tutorials, and more, this lab promised to serve effectively the needs of both job seekers and others in the community who needed to upgrade their computer literacy skills. Both groups would find the help they required here. That assistance would enable them to become more competitive in a job market touched in every corner by the need for well-developed computer skills. The chief instructor in charge of the computer labs, Doyle Strand, was the inspector's friend. He had invited Inspector ONet to see the facility and perhaps talk to the class of job seekers currently enrolled in the program. Inspector ONet was honored to oblige. "Good morning," he said to the front desk receptionist. "I am Inspector ONet. Doyle Strand invited me to see his new computer labs this morning. I believe I'm on time." "Just a minute, sir," she replied. "I will page him. Please sign in and have a seat. He will be with you shortly." ONet signed the register and took a seat. "I haven't seen Doyle in more than a year," he thought. "It will be good to see him again." Shortly, the computer lab manager, Doyle Strand, came through the hallway door. He was a heavy-set man with a friendly smile and booming voice. His manner seemed more like a professional salesman, but he knew computers inside and out. He was a technician's technician and a terrific teacher. He had left more lucrative employment with a software development company to teach in this community outreach program. He had successfully taught business and government users to master complicated and specialized software packages. But now he was teaching basic and business computer skills to the unemployed and underemployed in his community. He was loving this job more than anything he had ever done. For Doyle, it was a matter of ethical value and personal commitment. "Good morning, John Patrick," said Doyle, extending his hand. "It's a pleasure to see you again." He shook ONet's hand with a welcoming eagerness. "I'm glad you could come. I want you to see my labs, JP, but I especially want you to talk to our job seekers this morning. I have told them all about you, and they are excited. They want to meet the noted private employment investigator. And you'll get plenty of questions, I promise you that." "It's good to see you too, Doyle," replied Inspector ONet. "It's been too long. Perhaps we can make some time to catch up on things over coffee. I will certainly talk to your students, but I'd really like to hear more about how you became a teacher here. As I recall, you held a quite responsible and lucrative position at a software development company." "That seems like it was ages ago," said Doyle. "This is what I do now. The money was better at Globalcom Software, but the rewards are greater here. Come, let me show you around." Doyle took ONet on a tour of his labs, showing him the new computers, the tutorials, the extensive library of software that students could access for free, and the central computer training curriculum Doyle had developed for instructing students. "Quite impressive," said ONet. "You have resources here to do terrific work, particularly for those who need upgraded computer skills. You will be able to help them to become more competitive in the job market." "Quite right, JP," observed Doyle. "In addition to basic computer training and job search, this facility has the potential of becoming a center for occupational training, high school equivalency preparation, and special staff training for employers who want to upgrade the skills of existing employees by providing workshops in customer service or even offering training to earn short-term certifications, such as the ServSafe food handling certificate." Just then a buzzer sounded in the hall, catching Doyle's attention. "Oh, their morning classes are starting," he said. "My job search class will be coming in, and they will be eager to meet you. It's a good class." Students began filing into the room. It was a diverse group, men and women, various ages, races, and nationalities. Students took their places at computer desks, one student per station. 18 students in all. Doyle Strand introduced ONet. ONet then gave a brief lecture on job search tactics and interview techniques. When he had finished, he asked if any of the students had questions or special problems. An eager hand shot up from the computer team in the center of the front row. Inspector ONet nodded to the young black man in his mid-20s. "Let's follow a procedure," said ONet, "so I can get to know you. First, state your name, and then ask your question or state your problem. That will help me respond to you." The young man, muscular and tall, stood up. "My name is Edmond Sweet," he began, "and I'm looking for a warehouse job. But everything seems to be in Plainfield or Fishers. Bus service to these areas is so restricted that it simply won't work for most people. It won't work for me. I need a job that I can get to, but I don't know how to find anything near enough. I need a position on the bus line that I can get to reliably and on time. I have the skills, I just need the opportunity. Do you have any suggestions, Inspector ONet?" "That's a very good question, Edmond," replied ONet. "Let me give you a couple of suggestions. Are you online right now? Can you pull up the Google search engine?" "Yes, sir. I have Google on my screen," Edmond answered. "Good," said ONet. "Everyone get to the Google search screen, just like Edmond. What I'm about to demonstrate each of you can use." ONet then wrote 2 words on the whiteboard: Employer Locator. "Once you find the Google search page," he continued, "type into the search box the 2 words that I have written here on the board. Then do the search. Tell me what you see on the screen." A slightly built Hispanic woman in her late 30s identified herself. "My name is Elena Hernandez, Inspector ONet. The search results at the very top say Employer Locator, America's Career Infonet. But how will this help me? I'm trying to find a job as a secretary or receptionist. I don't want to work in a warehouse. I have computer skills and I type 60 words per minute." "The link that you are seeing, Helena," Inspector ONet responded, "will provide direct assistance to you in your job search for a clerical position. The tool we are going to explore is not limited to a specific occupation. But you will have to be patient. The tool itself is a bit clunky to use, but you will really appreciate the results. And by the way, Miss Hernandez, don't sell warehouses short. You might be surprised by the number of clerical positions available in that sector of work." Now, class, notice what the Google link says. It describes the Employer Locator as a search engine that enables you to uncover employer contact information. You can search by industry, occupation, state, or keyword. So let's click on the link for the industry search. Let's see where that takes us. A gentleman wearing a tie and sports coat raised his hand. Earlier, as the class filtered in, Inspector ONet heard him talking to another student about his service during the Gulf War. He was white, apparently a military veteran, and in his mid-40s. "I'm Carl Jung," he said. "I was trained in logistics in the military. I managed a distribution facility. I supervised about 50 people. What I'm seeing here doesn't seem helpful. Like everything else that is supposed to help veterans, it just looks like a list of occupational terms. The page calls them industry sectors. It looks like I'm supposed to select one. But which one and why?" "You're right, Carl, in part," said Inspector ONet. "This is how the tool begins the search, but it's using a computer technique to sort out results. That can be frustrating for people because computers don't think in the same way that we do. In fact, computers don't think at all. They simply use mathematical models for finding the results you are wanting. To help the computer get accurate results, you have to interact with these models to give the computer the basic information it needs to find good matches. That's why this looks a bit cumbersome. The method used here, however, will help you speak to the computer's language. That's worth doing in order to get the job done. You'll see." "Now, Carl, I want you and Edmond to select for me a choice that isn't immediately showing on the screen. Pull the slider bar down to the selection that is the third industry sector from the last choice. The one you are looking for is transportation and warehousing. Pick that one. As soon as Ed and Carl heard that phrase, transportation and warehousing, both men brightened. The latter looked up at the inspector and said, "Now that's something I can use." Ed, however, was already making the selection and was on his way. "Just as I have instructed Ed and Carl to do," Inspector Annette told the class, "I want the rest of you to pick an industry sector that seems close to your career objective. Once you've made the selection, click Next and answer the question that follows, which should be Select a State. Select Indiana from the list of states and then Next again. That will present another set of choices. Continue this process until you have selected answers to all questions." "Now what you get," continued Annette, "after completing this process will tell you if the tool can help you find a warehouse, clerical, or any other kind of job for which you might be looking. You will get a list of employers. These are not jobs, mind you, but they are employers in the field you have selected, the kinds of employers who would actually use the skills you possess. Ed and Carl have selected warehouse employers, but your screen should show lists of employers that match your occupational targets. Though they may not be jobs, they are certainly job leads. After all, if you're looking for a forklift position, you need a list of warehouses to contact, and you can find that list here. Now, just click the name of each business and you will get a specific address, phone numbers, website information, and perhaps a contact from the company, even a map. In other words, Ed, you will be able to discover whether the company is on the bus line or not, and a great deal more. "Now, all of this has been leading up to an assignment," said Inspector Annette. "Using your employer list, pick 5 employers that interest you. Now take the prospect list I am now passing out to you and record these employers under the heading Company Name. Now use the Employer Locator on your computer. Click on the company name of each company you have chosen. That will reveal an entire page of information devoted to each company. On the prospect list, fill in as much information as you can for each of your potential employers. You should find this exercise interesting. Now, I think that places us about 30 minutes or so from the morning break. That gives you time to complete the assignment, and that will also give your teacher and me some time over coffee to catch up with one another. After break, we will look at your work to see what you have discovered about potential employers." And that's Inspector Onnette's challenge to you. Can you get it done in 30 minutes?